one. You go back to I think it was 1969 or 70, and the Cubs had a 10-0 homestand early, but this is very rare to play this well for this long.
Yeah, and the pitching's been outstanding. The hitting has been good enough because the pitching has been so solid. Getting ready to go out on a long road trip, so a chance to finish with another win here today, and it's Arrieta Day, so you feel really good about your chances.
Let's take a look at yesterday, and we were not quite sure we were going to get the game started on time. It actually was raining pretty hard by the time of the first pitch. The Cubs were down early, 2-0. Then it was 2-1 in the fourth inning. Jorge Soler with a ground rule double, and it's 2-2. They decide to intentionally walk David Ross. The intentional walks have not worked out well for the Diamondbacks.
No, they have not. They've issued 3 or 4 of them in this series, and it really hasn't worked out well for Chip Hale and the D-backs. Yesterday, Jason Hamill came through with that off-the-base 2-run single after the intentional walk to David Ross. This whole inning started because of a pop-up in shallow left center by Anthony Rizzo was not caught. That's been another theme of this series, plays not made by the Diamondbacks.
Jason Hamill, I mentioned he gave up a 2-run homer in the very first inning, coming off a short outing because of the hamstring, but he really settled in.
Yeah, indeed he did. Just allowed 1 hit in 7 innings. Strikeout pitch was there for him. The Diamondbacks did make some noise late. They got to Pedro Strop. Yasmani Tomas hit a home run, so it got a little dicey there, and with the bases loaded, Travis Wood came in and induced, for lack of a better word, this inning-ending line drive to Ben Zobrist.
Then some insurance. Anthony Rizzo gets that run right back, his 13th of the year, so that ties Chris Bryant for the team lead. And Hector Rondon needed 8 pitches to navigate through the 9th inning.
Yeah, a rare opportunity for Rondon. Even though this team has done so much winning, he hasn't had that many chances. He's now 10 out of 10 in the save department.
So the Cubs have now taken 10 of their last 11. I think they had lost 8 of 12 prior to this stretch. They've got a 9.5 game lead. The starting pitching continues to be unbelievable, and the Cubs hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Workmanlike effort. Let's hear from Joe Madden.
I like the liberal arts approach to playing baseball. I really think that in our age of specialization and everybody just worries about home runs and hitting, I think the more complete game is the kind of game that sustains itself for a longer period of time. That's the do simple better concept. They just play catch, not asking to do anything extraordinary. As we position, you get to that spot. And then after that, it's not about making a spectacular play. It's about making a routine play routinely.
And as you heard Cap and Holly mention, a couple of guys getting the day off against the lefty, Hayward and Rizzo. So Joe really sticking to his plan.
Yeah, the splits are very favorable for right-handed hitters against Corbin. He's really struggled against righties, allowed 10 of his 11 home runs to right-handed batters. And just as a side note, that shot of Joe Madden there with the white hair and the glasses kind of looks like an owl, doesn't he?
A little bit, a very
wise owl thing going on.
That's a good call. My partner, he's very left-handed, isn't he? And we're going to hear from another left-hander, Travis Wood and Kelly Kroll, right after the break as we get you set for the Diamondbacks and the Cubs.
The finale between the Cubs and Diamondbacks is on the way. This is your Coors Light game report. The Cubs looking for the sweep of the D-backs behind some spectacular pitching. Not just the starters, the relievers as well. Travis Wood having himself quite a week. 4 scoreless innings in relief on Monday when, of course, Jason Hamill had to leave early. And then yesterday, called upon in the 8th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs, and he delivered again. Stressful situations that the lefty says he is beginning to embrace.
Just because you know the eyes are on you, you got to make your pitches, and there's no room for him to. You can't put him on. So at some point, something's going to happen. Hopefully, it's your day that you come out on top. And I was fortunate enough yesterday to have that happen.
Yeah, delivered a number of times. In terms of your growth as a pitcher now, you've had to do a lot of things. Do you feel like, having gone from a starter to having been now in the bullpen for a year or so and coming in those tough situations, have you become adverse to basically everything, do you think?
I mean, there's still a lot to learn. There's always something to learn in the game, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely helped a lot, concentrating on pitches and different ways to get guys out and stuff, going from side to side, and back and forth from starting to reliever. But for the most part, it's just they call upon you, go out there and do everything you can.
I was going to say, what was the mental adjustment like, if any? I mean, when you're a starter, you got maybe 1 or 2 innings to get yourself really into that rhythm by the 3rd or 4th. But in this situation, you're asked to, from the very get-go, come in and be ready.
That was probably the biggest adjustment, just being able to turn it on right away and know you don't have that inning or so to get basically loose and locked in. You got to be locked in from the get-go, or things would end badly. So for me, that was probably the biggest.
Is it something at all that you talk to Chris Bosio about? Is he someone, or even Lester Strode, like, hey, what would you suggest I do to kind of have myself ready right away?
No, I kind of talked to the other bullpen guys that have been there, for a while. James Russell was one that I talked to a lot last year, and then Mott. And they made it pretty easy coming down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They've been there and done that. Well, we were discussing this morning. I'm pretty sure you're the longest tenured guy in this clubhouse now. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yes. And you've seen then the whole transition that's transpired over the last couple of years. What, in your mind, just describe what that's been like to see from when you first arrived to where this team is now?
It's been a grind for sure. They brought in a lot of good guys. The team we have now is awesome, but the way we got here was a long road, and we put in a lot of hours and hard work and finding the right guys, and they got them in here, and it's paying off right now.
Was it tough to basically feel like every year you're watching guys come in that became your teammates, you were close to them, and then you were watching them get shipped off, all in this process of finding where you guys are now?
Yeah, but you realize it's a business, and you're here to do your job, and if you do it, if you do your job well, you can either stay here or you can go. Your values depend on what they want it to be. So we did run a lot of guys in and out, but I think we're for the better.
Travis Wood appeared in 26 games this season, has held opponents scoreless in 22 of them. We send it over to the PA announcement now for God Bless America and our national anthem.
At this time, please remain standing and join Adam Marchese, Nate, and Nathan Klinger as they honor our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
SN Chicago is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. Ford, inviting you to check out their fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
Beautiful day here in Chicago as the Cubs wrap up this homestand. Jake Arrieta will take the ball. The Cubs actually lost his last start, but he was terrific.
Yeah, 7 shutout innings, so his personal winning streak still intact as he tries to chase down Hall of Famer Carl Hubble. The Dodger hitters difficulty all day long with Arrieta. He walked 4, struck out 8, allowed just 2 hits. He's already got 1 win under his belt against the Diamondbacks this year. It's a predominantly right-handed hitting Diamondback lineup that Chip Hale will run out there today, and he has held right-handed batters to a 132 average. That's the best in Major League Baseball. So let's close in on the arms race, shall we? Clayton Kershaw, 6 scoreless last night, so he's able to drop his ERA to 1.46. So that's the bar now for Arrieta as he takes the mound this afternoon.
Yeah, and Kershaw said after the game he didn't even think he was that good last night, and that's how good these two guys are. And the Cubs have lost 1 game on the homestand, and it was the game Jake went 7 shutout.
Yeah, so it could be an undefeated homestand. And you're right, you make the same point. Kershaw made the same point after his game last night that we've heard from Jake on a number of occasions already this year where he'll go out and pitch 6 or 7 innings of shutout baseball and go, that wasn't so good tonight.
So he's ready to go, and so are we, as the Cubs look for the series sweep and a 6-1 season series against the Diamondbacks. First pitch is next.
Number looking for 10 wins on the homestand, and Jake Arrieta looking for his 10th win of the season.
What a tease from my partner, and Cubs baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. Wind blowing out toward right today. Sun is shining, partly cloudy. It's the Diamondbacks and the Cubs here on CSN, and right-hander Jake Arrieta making his warm-up tosses, and he will face the following Arizona Diamondbacks Southwest starting lineup. They're finishing up a road trip today. Michael Bourne will be in the leadoff spot. Phil Gosselin is going to play second. Paul Goldschmidt, Jake Lamb, who hit the home run yesterday, has had a good season against the Cubs. Chris Herman will catch for Castillo. Owings is short for Ahmed. It's Yasmani Tomas in left, Brandon Drury over in right, and the pitcher Patrick Corbin batting .308 is in the 9th spot.
Cubs defensively, a little different look. As we mentioned, no Rizzo, no Hayward today. So it's Soler, Fowler, Caesar across the outfield, and trying to come up with a catchy name for the infield. Benny and the Jets, Benny and the Babies, Benny and the Youngsters. You get the idea. Baez, Russell on the left side of the infield. Zobrist at second. Chris Bryant making his second start at first base. Miguel Montero is the backstop this afternoon, and the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Jake Arrieta. He is 9-0 with a 1.56 ERA. Just brilliant numbers across the board. Just 3 home runs allowed. Batting average against a 161. 3 strikeouts for every walk. 2-1, 293 lifetime against the Diamondbacks. This is his 5th start against this club.
Gabe Morales is the home plate umpire. Trip Gibson, Hunter Wendelstedt, the crew chief Scott Barry on the bases. And a strike to get us started. Swing and a miss. 97 on the fastball.
Crisp early from Arrieta. Michael Bourne a little tardy.
One and two. 73 degrees. And we do have a crosswind out of the northwest. 15 miles an hour. Laid off the slider to make it 2-2.
Diamondbacks are rocking yet another uniform today, aren't they? That's
they are.
They got going. Something going on there.
Have some teal in their uniforms today. Left field, and the wind kind of holding it up, but it will make the seats. Gosselin on deck. Pitch number 6 from Jake. Fisted foul.
Chip Hale, he is a little bit undermanned, if you will, with his lineup. You know, David Peralta still on the disabled list, so they're a little bit short on their options from the left side of the plate. Michael Bourne's getting a chance here today, and he can make things happen with his legs. I would imagine that as the Diamondbacks contemplated this game today, that's a lot of what they talked about. Let's get some of these speedy guys on, see if we can make something happen with the running game.
They're hoping to have Peralta back from the DL maybe as early as tomorrow against Tampa Bay. He's got a wrist injury and is currently on a rehab assignment. Dropped by Montero. 3-2 on Bourne, is giving Arrieta a good battle.
Bourne has made 10 starts. He's hit safely in 8 of those games.
Payoff pitch. Another foul.
Arrieta supremely confident in all of his pitches. So even though he throws 97 miles an hour, a hitter cannot just sell out and sit fastball on 3-2 or 3-1 for that matter.
Finally got him on the 10th pitch.
So Bourne takes a little bite out of Jake by working a lengthy at bat, but ultimately Arrieta wins the battle. Check out the movement on this two-seam fastball. Whoop. That's a runner.
Here's Gosselin, his first action in the series, playing second. 7th start there, has also made starts at third, first, and left. Jake's 30 years old, 6'4", 225. Sinker strike down the heart of the plate.
Yeah, we noticed in his last start how good he was early. I mean, he is most starts, but velocity was was there early on, and the curveball was really sharp.
Another big crowd here as the Cubs wrap up what has been a really fun homestand. 2-2.
Kind of a tough assignment, right? If you're a part-time player and you get one start in the series and it's against Arrieta.
Yeah.
Thanks, Skip.
Didn't miss by much. Back-to-back full counts. How did he take it? The kick and the 3-2, and it's high for ball 4. Montero had his sunglasses on, but decides to take them off. He's got eye black on, I believe. It's a bright day. And here's Paul Goldschmidt. Takes a strike.
I'm gonna have to turn up the contrast on my monitor so I can see the Diamondback players. It's kind of muddy uniforms, they're hard to see. This is a great matchup. One of the best pitchers in the game, one of the best hitters in the game.
The last time Arrieta faced the Diamondbacks, it was his second start of the season. Goldschmidt actually snapped his scoreless streak. It went back to last year at 32 innings. He went 2 for 3 against Arrieta with a double and a home run. Swing and a miss. Cubs won that game 7-3 on April 9th. A game in which Jake himself hit a home run. Here's the 0-2. Fouled back. Goldschmidt is very similar to a lot of Cub hitters. Even when you get them to 0-2, you might as well be aggressive.
Yeah, and yeah, we've seen it time and time again with Goldschmidt. You get the jump and you start to nibble. He tends to work his way back into the count. There, Montero sitting way inside for that last one. Now they're going to try to work off that outside edge. The scouting report on Goldschmidt is he covers the whole plate really well. Very good alley to alley, good power the opposite way. Mistake breaking ball, he's going to hit 450 feet to left. If you've got life on the heater, you can pitch in on the hands.
The 1-2. Called strike 3. Goldschmidt telling Gabe Morales that's not a strike. So 2 outs and it'll bring up Lamb.
Yeah, well, it's part argument and it's part plea, right? It's part saying that's not a strike because I don't think it is, and if it is, then we're all in trouble because that's right on the outside corner. There's nothing a hitter can do with it. Come on, Gabe, this guy's tough enough.
Here's Lamb. 2-run homer in the first yesterday off Jason Hamill. Good looking hitter. Swings and misses on 97. He was lifted late, however, for a pinch hitter as Joe brought in Travis Wood with the bases loaded in the 8th inning in a 1-run game. And Wood got Ricky Weeks to line out.
And Lamb has not had much luck against lefties, so even though he's a middle of the order hitter, Chip Hale was willing to hit for him in that situation. He's a young hitter. He's got power. Pretty high ceiling for this kid with a bat in his hands.
Gosselin at first, 2 outs. And the 1-1. And now 2-1.
As good as Goldschmidt is, I think this is the guy that Joe Maddon's probably most concerned about with Arrieta on the mound. See, he's really done very little against lefties, but and quite good against right-handed pitching.
And also why Chip Hale decided to lift him for a pinch hitter. And a half committed there, 2-2. It's been pitcher catcher here in this top of the first. 2 strikeouts and a walk.
Attempted to run Gosselin here, but he's got a very modest lead.
Not going. Swing and a miss. All the outs were strikeouts. They made him work for it. But they do not score. And the Cubs are coming up when we return. Binny's Beverage Depot. And if Dexter Fowler gets a hit, Binny's Beverage Depot will donate $100 to the Greater Chicagoland Food Depository. He's the guy you want in that spot. 25 times he has reached base to start a game, including homering yesterday. And here's the rest of the Cubs Southwest starting lineup, not including Hayward and Rizzo. So Bryant's going to play first today. Matt Caesar is in right.
Diamondbacks defensively, Tomas, Bourne, Drury in the outfield. There's been some misplays in the outfield in this series. For the Diamondbacks, Lamb, Owings on the left side, day off for Nick Ahmed. Gosselin, Goldschmidt over the right side of the infield. Chris Herman is behind the plate, and the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher for Arizona this afternoon is the lefty Patrick Corbin.
And a bouncer that's kicked by Lamb, but he has time to recover. And 1 pitch and 1 out.
Cubs were aggressive early in the ball game yesterday, surprisingly so. Edwin Escobar made the start for the Diamondbacks. It was just a second big league start. We thought the Cubs would be more patient. They were not. As you look at the numbers for Corbin, 2-5 with a 496. He's a candidate for the anti-Dorothy Award. He's been a lot better on the road than he has been at home.
Ben Zobrist in the 2-hole today. No hits in the series. He's walked 4 times, twice intentionally, and is looking for his first hit in a few days. 0 for 10 over his last 4 games.
Corbin 2-1 with a 268 earned run average on the road, 0-4 with a 794 in his home ballpark.
Second round draft pick out of Chipola Junior College in Florida by the Angels, 2009. He was traded to the Diamondbacks the following year, made his major league debut in 2012. An all-star 2013, but then didn't pitch in 2014 after Tommy John surgery, and returned mid-year last year to make 16 starts.
An interesting story. He was an outstanding basketball player in high school, and actually started his collegiate career as a basketball, baseball, both guy.
Lamb again, and he will get Zobrist. Yeah, he played both sports at Mohawk Valley College in New York before transferring to Chipola.
Central New York. He grew up in Clay, which is outside of Syracuse. And the story goes that he didn't really play high school baseball till his junior year. It was kind of on a whim. He went into the tryout in his blue jeans, and they threw him up on the mound in the gym, and he started pumping fastballs in there. And he said, all right, you're on the team.
Strike on the first baseman, Chris Bryant. In for Anthony Rizzo at that defensive spot. Third career start at first. Generally, the thought is if you can play third, you can play first.
Yeah, the fielding part of it is very similar. Now, there's some other responsibilities, obviously, at first base, cutoff and run plays, things of that nature.
I think the other thing that two things have allowed Joe to move Chris around defensively. As he taps one on the ground, I may have to tell you what those things are later. Nope, he beat it out. Infield hit. One part of his game I think you and I both didn't know about before he got to the big leagues, and that is his base running.
Yeah, and it's good everywhere. I mean, he cuts the corners. The technique is really good. He's fast. And we've seen him get a number of infield hits. A lot of guys around the league would argue that's just not fair. A guy that can hit the ball as far as he can still manages to get his fair share of infield hits.
So that'll keep the inning open for Soler, who's in a cleanup spot today. So the two things is Soler got hit on the foot or the leg. I'm not sure. I could hear it. And it sounded painful. Top of the right foot. Be off the big toe.
Going to burn for a while. 94 on the toe.
So 2 on for Javier Baez. Field single and a hit by pitch. Now can I finish the story?
How we doing? Yeah.
Chris has been so good defensively at all these other spots, particularly in the outfield. Joe feels more than comfortable putting him out there. Add to that, Baez's work at third. So that's kind of freed Joe up to move Chris around. Swing and a miss, because some people might say, well, why didn't you just put Baez at first and leave Bryant right where he is? Well, because Bryant moves around a lot and Joe likes it this way.
Yeah, and it's having that two shortstop on the left side of the infield when Baez and Russell over there together. So it's kind of that check your ego at the door. Yes, Chris Bryant, you're very good Major League third baseman. Baez could be a very good Major League shortstop. He is a very good Major League shortstop, so he's a plus defender. He's
sharply hit to Owings. He'll take the short throw to get Soler, who doesn't appear to be limping or anything, so that's good news. The Cubs strand 2 after 1, 0-0. Underway here in the second, and that ball lifted foul by Chris Herman out of play.
It's a good heater away there to Herman, and you're going to see a couple in this sequence from Arrieta as well. Look at the movement on that at 96 miles an hour. And then he paints on Goldschmidt at 97. And one more time, 97 off the outside edge to get Lamb. Impressive start for the big righty.
1 ball, 1 strike. Cubs baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. Herman catching today, so no Wellington Castillo.
I saw the numbers, and they're good for Herman. Good slugging percentage. He's hitting .339 over his last 21 ball games with 3 homers and 3 triples.
Arrieta can become the first 10-game winner this year. There's a ground ball base hit, the first hit for Arizona. And you see what he's done here during this incredible stretch. His last 24 starts, 20 wins, 4 no decisions. The Cubs have only lost 1 game during this stretch, and that was his last start, even though he didn't allow a run. Chris Owings playing short. Jake trying to become the 5th pitcher in the last 75 years to win 10 games within his first 12 starts of a season. Roger Clemens did it twice. Andy Hawkins, Juan Marichal, and Don Newcomb. Thanks to Elias for that move. Foul tip. The last Cub to get to 10 wins by this date was Grover Alexander. He got his 10th win on May 28, 1920. Today is June the 5th.
Do you know how many starts it took for Grover to get there? Old Pete? Probably had a handful more, I'm guessing.
I would guess so. Do not have that in front of me. Find it.
Well, somebody in the truck will dig that up.
Tapped foul. Speaking of June 5th, we've got some birthday wishes to go out today. Jeff Garland celebrating a birthday today. Also this weekend, another huge Cub fan celebrating a big birthday, number 80, Bruce Dern, Chicago native, been nominated for a couple of Academy Awards. And still holds some track records at New Trier High School.
Is that right? I did
Yeah.
not know that.
You saw Nebraska, yeah?
Yeah, outstanding.
He was great in that.
Tough thing about Arrieta, he gets a lot of strikeouts, but also a lot of outs on the ground.
That one is going to be a base hit, as Caesar gave it a good go, but could not quite get there. Well, I didn't think he had a prayer at it. He made it close.
Closing speed for Caesar out there in right field. And even when you give the Gold Glover Hayward a day off, you're well covered with Caesar out there. Heck of a try. The key there is just make sure if you don't catch it, you keep it in front. He was able to do that, so double play still in order.
It was his 12th start.
Okay, so not
actually
as many as I thought.
No, it was his 12th appearance. He had made looks like he had a 1-inning performance as a reliever, so it was his 11th start. He lost his first two. Grover Alexander did in 1920. And then he won 11 in a row. Tomas takes the pitch low. So trouble here for Arrieta. 2 on, nobody out, and Montero will head out to the mound. Norm Jones of Crystal Lake, Illinois, yesterday celebrated number 80. Happy birthday, Norm. Belatedly, Carol Nelson got a nice note from her. Lifelong Cub fan who now lives in Hillsboro, Oregon. That one golfed out into right center. It will get down for a hit, and it's going to roll to the wall. Herman scores. Owings being sent, and the throw is late. That is a 2-run double for Yasmani Tomas, and the Diamondbacks lead 2-zip.
Great approaches by the Diamondback hitters in this inning. Herman right up the middle, Owings and Tomas both going the other way, and that's one way to keep the ball in the air, or at least to try to keep it in the air, stay out of the double play. Hands in, drops the barrel on that low pitch, and just slices it into the alley in right center. Not a bad pitch, but great work by Yasmani Tomas.
So still nobody out. They've been wearing out right center field here in this second inning. Ball 1 on Brandon Drury. He's playing right field. Pretty good numbers for him. He's batting 8th.
Drury, a rookie, putting up very good numbers. 331 in the minor leagues last year.
Only the 5th time to start the season Jake has allowed multiple runs. This is his 12th start.
Yeah, it's kind of jarring, isn't it, to see him give up 3 hits in a row? It's like,
Yep.
the planets are out of alignment or something. Again, it's not so much that he's making bad pitches. It's just real good work by the Diamondback hitters here. The hitting coach Dave Magadan, assistant hitting coach Mark Grace, the approach by the Diamondback hitters in this inning right out of their playbooks. That's exactly what Magadan and Grace were so good at, using the whole field.
Well, 3 hits in a row. Jake gives up 5 hits per 9 innings, leading the major leagues. So, yeah, I would say it's pretty rare. Only gave up 2 total in his last start. Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Pitch got away from him. He got the desired result as Drury went way out of the zone. Trying to throw a cutter down and away. Throws him a little cement mixer up and in.
It was so bad it was good.
Well, you have to be careful how careful you have to be, but you have to respect Corbin's ability with a bat in his hand.
Swing and a miss. No thought of a bunt, at least to start. You see these 2 pitching staffs have handled the bats pretty well. Diamondbacks pitchers leading all major league pitching staffs. Jason Hamill had the game-winning 2-run single yesterday. That was not a comfortable hack.
No, that was an overmatched hack there.
Called strike 3. 5 outs recorded by Arrieta. They've all been strikeouts.
Second one looking. You got Goldschmidt with a fastball over the corner, and here's a jelly leg inducing curveball.
Bourne, a 10-pitch at bat to start the game that finished on a swinging strikeout.
That'll be the theme against a guy like Arrieta in the other dugout. Competitive at bats. Don't make it easy on him. So far, the Diamondbacks have not, as he's made 47 pitches here, only in the 2nd inning.
This is his 45th start since the beginning of last season. And going into today, during this stretch, 31-6 with a 172. Over the last 44 starts, 5 complete games, 4 shutouts, 2 no-hitters, 304 innings, 192 hits. Chew on that for a second. Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count, 3-2.
Here we go again with another long at bat for Bourne. Last time it was the 2-seam running fastball off the corner that got him.
Swing and a miss. 6 outs, all strikeouts. But Tomas with a 2-run double, and the Diamondbacks have the early lead.
through Thursday matchups with limited availability on weekends throughout the summer. Don't wait. Plan now to catch all the excitement at Wrigley Field. Visit Cubs.com. It is a hot ticket, my friends.
Cubs trailed 2-0. They came back from yesterday in a 5-3 win. Here's Addison Russell, 1 for 4 on Saturday. 1 strike.
If you ask hitters about Corbin, they probably speak first about his slider. There it is. Pitch that drew everybody's attention when he first came to the big leagues. He's got a good heater. We've seen him go 94 here today. Also has a changeup that he's thrown more this year than he has in the past.
Another slider is in the dirt.
But he's been hurt on his changeup. He's yielded a very high average on it. He's given up 4 long balls. So I think the emphasis may be a little more fastball slider here for Corbin.
Soler, Baez, and Russell all hitting a little higher in the lineup today than normal with no Hayward or Rizzo. Russell batting 6th. Oh, 2 to 3-2. Topper, that'll be cut off by the third baseman Lamb, and he got him on the bounced throw to Goldschmidt.
As Arrieta striking everybody out, Corbin getting all his outs on the ground. Bang, bang here at first, but they got him. Nice pick by Goldschmidt.
Caesar in the 7th spot, playing right. This is his 8th start overall. Went into spring training for the first time in his career without options. Wasn't totally healthy to start the spring, but he made the club and he has been terrific. Lines one in the left center.
All looked like it got in on him a little bit. Muscles are out there.
That's his warm-up suit. The back of it, Caesar. Cubs will have the matching Cubs colored track suits, whatever you want to call them. They look like 1979 NBA team. The nicknames on the back. Montero takes low.
Kind of look like the Globetrotters.
A little bit. They don't have the tearaways though, right?
No.
The pants?
I don't believe so.
Two 2-0 on Montero.
Montero, the only left-handed batter in the lineup today for the Cubs, and sometimes that can be a little disconcerting for a pitcher. Facing all the rest of the lineup from one side, and then that one guy comes up there and gives you that different look.
Corbin now set at the belt. Not a big lead by Caesar, and the pitch is Low and outside. 3-1. It is off to Philadelphia after this one. The Cubs will face another lefty tomorrow night, Adam Morgan. Three and two.
Morgan, Eichhoff, and Velasquez in that series for the Phillies. Isn't that the same exact three pitchers we just saw here from,
yes.
from Philly? Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So no Aaron Nola again.
He is pitching today against Milwaukee, and get you an update here in a second. Ground ball backhanded by Goldschmidt. They'll get the out at second. Corbin covering first. Did he get to the bag? No, according to Trip Gibson. The Diamondbacks will obviously take a look at it in their video room to see if his foot ever did touch first. And here's our look at it. No. I don't know if he ever got it.
I don't think he did.
Yeah. Looks like a good call.
Reaching, reaching, safe. Spirited effort. And the key there for a pitcher covering first base is don't try to time the play. Get over there as fast as possible so you can turn around and square up to that throw. He's telling the dugout, I'm not sure whether I got it or not.
Jake with one home run, and that was against the Diamondbacks.
I mentioned Corbin's athletic ability earlier. There's a YouTube video of him doing a 360 slam dunk.
I haven't seen it.
There's not that many pitchers in Major League Baseball that can do that.
High drive out into center. Bourne is back on the warning track, still going back, and he can't make the play. Montero around third. He will score. It's 2-1. So staying on to the double play gives Arrieta one more shot. And he nearly hit it out.
Well, that ball really carried. Arrieta with his bid for a second home run. His first came in Arizona in his second start of the year. Michael Bourne drifting. Can't make the play.
That looks more routine or easier than it is for an outfielder, right? Because he got his glove on it. But with the overhang on the basket, it gets very tricky out there.
Yeah.
So that'll be an RBI double for Arrieta.
Mickey had to kind of shift gears there. He got caught peeking watching the play as he was rounding second base.
Another big RBI hit by a Cubs pitcher.
Save some energy, and then he had to really push it.
1-1 on Fowler. Now the wind is more or less blowing straight out toward right center as opposed to that crosswind. Swing and a miss on the changeup, 1-2.
Yeah, and as high as Jake hit that ball, I'm surprised it carried as well as it did to that part of the field. He's a strong man, old Kronk.
Cubs pitchers now with 16 RBIs. Fowler held on the swing, and it's 2-2. Bounce to third. Lamb gets Fowler to end the inning. But the Cubs do get on the board after 2. It's Arizona 2 and the Cubs 1. Chicago think E-Click Lending. Whether looking to purchase or refi, never pay lender fees with E-Click Lending. Visit us online at eclicklending.com to lock in your low rate today. E-Click Lending. Point, click, save. Glorious Sunday afternoon. It is now 2-1 Diamondbacks. Gosselin, Goldschmidt, Lamb, and a called strike as Gosselin showed bunt. The Phillies have a 3-0 lead in the 5th over Milwaukee. As Aaron Nola has given up 6 hits, but no runs to this point. You mentioned it the other day. Cubs getting a little bit of a break here lately. No Kershaw. No Greinke this week. And they'll miss Aaron Nola both series against the Phillies. It's lined foul to right.
And Nola's a good one, good young pitcher. Yeah, they've got, Eichhoff I thought pitched well in his start here at Wrigley.
Marietta's 1-2 is in the dirt.
Well, because of the work that the Diamondbacks have done in the first 2 innings, the pitch count is likely to be an issue for Jake here today unless he can get some quick outs. They're taking long at bats. They've punched out 6 times, but they've worked some long at bats. Put 3 hits together last inning.
It has already been a bad weekend for the Washington Nationals in Cincinnati. They've dropped the first 2 to the Reds in trying to avoid a disastrous weekend, and the Nationals lead 8-5 in the top of the 6th. It's a first place against last place team. Called strike 3. First 7 Diamondback outs have been strikeouts. Or put another way, as you mentioned to me during the break, their BABIP is 1,000. They put 3 balls in play and they've all been hits. Goldschmidt caught looking on a borderline pitch in the first. Grounding ball to the shortstop, Russell. BABIP will go down now to 750. Get a behind-the-scenes look at beautiful Wrigley Field. The Cubs offer guided tours that include a chance to step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. For more information, visit Cubs.com/tours. Yeah, this would be a nice inning to have a low pitch situation, especially against this part of the order. Well-placed fastball. 0-2. Now 1-2. Diamondbacks hoping you're going to get another opportunity like they had in the second. They scored 2. Probably wish they had gotten more.
Tried the change up there. It hasn't thrown many. That might be number 1.
He's gone to a full count. Swing and a miss. They give him 8 strikeouts through only 3 innings. 2-1 D-backs. The old 360. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, didn't need a trampoline or anything.
Well, that probably wouldn't have been YouTube worthy.
Quality lid there for that young man.
There's Ben Zobrist. It's a slider for a strike. He grounded out in the first. Drills it foul to left out of play. Oakland has given up 3 hits, including an RBI double by Arrieta. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That's his first strikeout. Arrieta with 8. Just kind of fun. Not too many guys, when they get into their setup, have the barrel of the bat pointing down, but Chris Bryant and Paul Goldschmidt do.
Why do you suppose that is?
I don't know.
Just comfortable.
Yeah.
Just a starting point.
Yep.
You guys said they want to feel the barrel, feel the weight of the barrel. Just kind of let it hang there.
It's funny too, because in my mind as I watched Goldschmidt, I thought Bryant was a little more vertical, but actually no. I think he bends his knees a little more spread out than Goldschmidt.
There's a lot of bend in Chris Bryant's stance. A big tall guy. Goldschmidt's a big guy too.
You see the similarity, right? When Chris stands in there, you could kind of envision Goldschmidt batting. And today, both guys are playing first base. Swing and a miss. Actually, a foul tip, which counts the same. Back-to-back Ks for Corbin.
Take home a game used or autographed item and help benefit Cubs charities. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities. Visit Cubs.com/authentics.
Jorge Soler with a major league pop fly. Want to read a promo? That is some serious hang time. And that's the inning. So we go to the 4th, 2-1 for the visitors.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field. Cubs trailing by a run as we get set here for the top of the 4th. This is your Coors Light game report. Had a nice chance to catch up with Kyle Schwarber this morning and did, in fact, of course, earlier this week go to his doctor's appointment in Dallas, and the A-OK to take the crutch away, so now walking without it in the clubhouse, guys, and said he feels like he's limping too much, but we agreed he can just call it his strut. But as you see him sitting next to David Ross here at the top of the dugout, he is bending his knee as much as he can right now, and he said it was frustrating to realize that that was going to be the toughest part of this recovery, was actually the flexibility within the knee, and so that's where his exercises are what he's working on right now. But he says it's been great, of course, to be around the guys and just them keeping his spirits uplifted. They're giving him a hard time every day because, of course, they wouldn't want to take pity on him.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, I talked to Kyle today, and that is a great spot in the dugout, although he vacated in the 9th yesterday because Hector Rondon was throwing really hard, and they had left-handed hitters up there, and he thought, probably need to be a little better protected. Herman strikes out. Give Arrieta 9 strikeouts.
You got a Kerry Wood alert.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the pitch count's the issue, but he's missing a lot of bats.
Just tremendous movement there.
Owings 1 for 1 with a run. Takes a strike. Marco Estrada of the Blue Jays is no-hitting the Red Sox through 6 innings. Toronto has a 5-0 lead. So we will keep you posted. Arrieta into his motion, and the 1-1 is ripped into left. So Owings is 2 for 2.
It's kind of a weird game. Arrieta's piling up all these strikeouts, but the Diamondbacks are having good at bat. I mean, this stuff is just filthy here today. So 97 with great movement. The location has been really good. Having some good long at bats. And managed to put the ball in play with some authority. They got 4 hits now.
Tomas with a 2-run double to give Arizona the lead in the second. He homered off Pedro Strop yesterday. That made it briefly a 1-run game. Final game of the season series. The Cubs have won 5 of the first 6. Diamondbacks have lost 5 in a row now at Wrigley Field. Swing and a miss, 0-2. April 1970. Cubs had a 10-0 homestand. That was the last time they had a 10-gamer with 0 losses or 1 loss. Got a chance to go 9-1 if they can come back today. Oh, so close. 1-2.
Such a good pitch on 2 strikes, just off the outside corner.
You mentioned how weird it was that second inning when Tomas knocked in 2 with a double. It was only the second time all year Arrieta has given up a 2-run hit. So you were correct in feeling like it was out of the ordinary.
Anytime he gives up a run or 2, or has a rough patch, it just makes you scratch your head.
Remember the other one?
The other
two-run hit.
Probably a home run, right?
Nope. Runner got a great jump. Owings just took off before Arrieta even delivered. And we'll get a stolen base out of it. Meantime, 2-2 on Tomas. Let's say he went on first movement, but he went before that.
Owings 8 for 8 now in stolen bases.
Swing and a miss for number 10.
Uncle Charlie abuses Tomas.
Jake's strikeout rate is better than league average, about 26% or so. Today it's over 50.
Yeah, it was actually down a little bit compared to last year. He's still well above league average, but yeah, it's gonna take a pretty good jump here today, the way he's going along. Talk about pace of play issues in the game and trying to find a way to get the ball put in play more frequently. And more action, strikeouts and walks. Fans don't necessarily find appealing. It's kind of fun to watch a guy like Arrieta do his thing, though.
Jake came in averaging a strikeout of about, again, every 4 batters, 26%, 15th. Among major league pitchers. Jose Fernandez, number 1 at 36. Kershaw, about 33%. Noah Syndergaard, Steven Strasburg, Max Scherzer rounding out the top 5. 1-2 to Drury.
Hook 'em. Close enough to get him to bite.
He's ready. He got it. That's 11. So 11 of the 12 outs have been strikeouts.
Knowledge is tested. Beer Money presented by Coors Light tonight at 7 on CSN.
And time now for greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. James Shields is now a member of the White Sox. And you see his numbers so far with the Padres. Wouldn't say you're buying low necessarily, maybe considering the way he started the season, but widely considered to be a very good pitcher. And the White Sox grabbed him.
Velocity's been down a little bit, kind of trending downward the last couple of years, so we'll see. He's got good off-speed stuff, knows how to pitch. And the environment has gotten a little toxic over there in San Diego, so I'm sure he's happy to get out. One of the owners called him out, said he was embarrassed by Shields' performance.
Ball off the bat of Baez. Lamb will make the play. I want to say 9 straight 200 inning seasons, something like that for James Shields. Today's CSN Bar of the Game presented by Coors Light is the Standard Bar and Grill. To see the complete list of CSN Bars of the Game presented by Coors Light, visit csnchicago.com. So, yeah, you're going to get durability out of James Shields. I guess the home run thing would be a concern. He gave up a major league leading 33 last year, 9 so far, 67 and a third. And the White Sox play half their games, especially now that we're into June, and a very homer-friendly ballpark.
Yeah, and the Padres do not. San Diego, very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So the numbers, it could get worse.
Corbin has been a lot more efficient than Arrieta. Jake has 11 strikeouts through 4. And Corbin has only 2. Struck him out. Ooh, they really
he opened
gave
that
him
one
the corner
up.
there.
Yeah, that was pretty wide there. Gabe Morales shooting for the outside corner. Herman set up out there, cradles that ball nicely. So he hit his spot, and the catcher did a nice job presenting it, but it's clearly outside.
I think Morales got distracted by the graphic, because it did touch ball number 2, which is touching ball number 4, which was touching the strike zone.
That's the communal property, isn't it?
Nice play by Corbin, and he works a 1-2-3 inning. Cubs trail 2-1 after 4. He's ready. He got it. That's 11. Xfinity high-speed action. Arrieta back to work in the 5th. Corbin shows bunt. Swing and a miss.
Most strikeouts Jake has ever had in a game, 13. So back in September of 2014 against Cincinnati. Also this year had an 11 strikeout game against the Pirates back on May 14th.
Missed a spot, but it looked like it could have been a strike.
I guess the metaphor is timely, or the analogy. What the Diamondbacks are doing here with Jake, it's kind of like Muhammad Ali playing rope-a-dope against George Foreman, letting Foreman punch himself out as he laid against the ropes.
Softly served into left center. So Corbin has a really nice at bat with a base hit.
Now, I'm not saying that the Diamondbacks are going up there and striking out on purpose to make him throw a lot of pitches, but a willingness to take pitches, because you see it a lot with guys like Arrieta, who has such good stuff. A lot of times hitters go up there and they say, I don't want to get behind in the count because then I'm done. So they hack early. And those are the games where he gets a lot of ground ball outs early, right, and then he's got all that steam left for the later innings. Here they've had that patient approach.
Corbin took off, and he's going to be out.
He's waiting while they review it in the video room. Out.
Yep, he was. A quick tag by Russell as Montero fired a strike. Here's the 0-1.
A bit of a roll of the dice by Chip Hale there, but understandable with Arrieta on the mound doing his thing. And we've talked numerous times about Corbin's athletic ability. If there's one flaw in Jake's game, and I don't think it's necessarily a flaw, it's just the nature of the way he pitches. He is vulnerable to the stolen base, and Montero has not been particularly good this year at shutting down the running game.
Zobrist thought about barehanding it, and Bourne beats the throw. You could tell Ben was kind of doing the math in his head as he was going after that ground ball. He made a late adjustment. It looked like to me, JD, he was going to barehand it and then decided not to.
It's with two hands, but all at the same time, I don't think he lost any time in not barehanding that ball. Bourne going down the line. It's a do or die play. Yeah, you're right. He didn't adjust his angle a little bit.
So an infield hit for Bourne, and here's Gosselin. Well, strikeouts are fun, but this is where Jake would love a two-hopper right at Addison Russell. Get out of this inning.
If you're willing to run with Corbin, you know they're willing to run with Michael Bourne, one of the best base stealers of this generation.
Marco Estrada's now through 7 innings at Fenway Park, 98 pitches. He has not allowed a hit, leading 5-0. On ball, base hit. Bourne stopping at second. That is the second time today the Diamondbacks have strung together 3 straight hits. How big is that caught stealing now?
A crisis point in this game now for Arrieta. 5th inning, 2 on for Goldschmidt. He's handled them so far today. A strikeout and a ground ball to short.
And on balls in play, the Diamondbacks are 7 for 8. And the one out on a ball in play was off the bat of Goldschmidt, their best hitter.
Well, it seems like then that the odds, the baseball gods, if you will, owe Arrieta an atom ball.
We're going to see some action in the bullpen. Trevor Cahill just grabbed the ball. Joe does not want to let this inning get away as Arrieta is closing in quickly on 100 pitches, and now Chris Bosio will head out.
Yeah, it is so weird that Arrieta has pitched a dominant ball game with all the strikeouts, but he's kind of teetering on the edge here in the 5th inning. Can you be a victim of your own stuff because you've got all these swings and misses and you're not getting easy outs?
Well, we had that package of strikeouts. I mean, the ball's just moving all over the place.
Floating out of his hand. He's hitting spots.
2-0 on Goldschmidt.
It's not like they're doing a lot of slugging against him. He's not making mistakes in the strike zone. TCU on the mound versus Texas State in the batter's box.
And neither guy was born in Texas. They both grew up there.
Schmidt in the Houston area. Jake in the Dallas area.
Miss. It's 3-2.
Big chunk of home play with that one. Going to challenge Goldschmidt on 3-1 and slipped it by him. Pitch of the game coming right here.
And a base hit to left. Bourne will score. And it's now 3-1. Paul Goldschmidt. His 3rd hit this year off Jake Arrieta. So that's 4 consecutive singles. Start the 5th inning. Corbin, remember, was caught stealing. Tap foul by Lamb. Diamondbacks, the only team to get 8 hits off Arrieta, and they've done it now twice. Oh, 2. That was a changeup. Or a slider. It was 89.
Change, yeah, it was a change.
Don't know what the record is, but I seem to recall at some point over the last 5 years or so, there was a starting pitcher who had an incredible amount of strikeouts in a 5-inning start. There's number 12. Something like 13 strikeouts in 5 innings or whatever. But Arrieta's in that vicinity.
He's in that neighborhood, isn't he? And he gets Lamb for the 3rd time. So Lamb, the guy we identified as the most dangerous bat in the Diamondback lineup today for Arrieta because of his dominance of right-handed hitters. He has completely neutralized Lamb.
Jake is due up 2nd in the bottom of this inning. So this very well could be it for him as he just threw his 103rd pitch. One and 2. So a chance to tie his career high with the 13. He struck out on September 16th of 14 against Cincinnati.
This is one of the more peculiar games I've seen in a while, and it's just the freaky nature of baseball that a guy can be so dominant with all these strikeouts and yet a team string 4 hits together against him. There's no way to explain it. It's just happenstance. You know, don't give me this hitting is contagious. Don't, you know, they were able to bunch their hit. They weren't able to. They happened to.
As you said, you don't design it and go, hey, go strike out 12 times. Two and 2 on Herman. Full count.
If the pitch count would allow him, you could see a scenario where he could pitch with his stuff 3 more innings, not allow another base runner, and end up striking 19, 20 guys out here today.
But he'd probably throw 150 pitches.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen.
Runners take off. Arrieta's got to cover the bag, and everybody's safe. That was a tricky play, and they've got now a couple of runners caught up at 3rd base. That is Gosselin, and he will be tagged out by Baez to end the inning. So the Diamondbacks run out of the inning. They would have had bases loaded. They do get 1 run. It's 3-1. Cap, thank you. Well, a bizarre end to a strange inning. The Diamondbacks ended up with 5 hits and scored just 1 run as they ended up running out of the inning as 2 runners, Gosselin and Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt assumed, I guess, that Gosselin was going to score.
Yeah, kind of a funky play and big opportunity to add on. It goes by the boards for the Diamondbacks. Remember that double play they didn't turn earlier to the Cubs run in the second.
So Arrieta will head to the on-deck circle as Montero will lead it off.
Jake's going to get 1 more here. They've had to do some lobbying to get it. There's an off day coming on Thursday, so extra day rest before the next start. Of course, with Joe, it's not inconceivable that Arrieta takes the at bat here, but doesn't pitch the top of the inning.
Correct. Still 2 strikes on the former D-back, Miguel Montero. Didn't happen directly, but ultimately they swapped catchers. Wellington Castillo ended up in Arizona. First made a stop in Seattle. One and two.
When the Cubs signed Montero, it seemed like Castillo would end up in Arizona, as you mentioned. It took
Traded
a while for it
for
to happen.
They acquired him, Montero.
You know, they carried 3 catchers there for a while, but it didn't seem like that was going to pan out. So Castillo originally went to Seattle and then was moved on to the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks got a pretty good thing going on now with Castillo and Herman.
Line drive, base hit. And that will bring the tying run to the plate. And it will be Jake Arrieta.
Probably going to be asked to punt here. No guarantee.
Swing and a miss. This was a blast. It was off Shelby Miller. Corbin thought about second and will get the out at first.
Well, he had a play. He was on that in a hurry, and with Montero running, he had plenty of time to make that throw to second base. Maybe just not comfortable making that throw. See here as he picks it up. He's got all kinds of time.
I think Trevor Cahill may start the 6th inning. He's throwing in the bullpen. Chris Young with an 8th inning home run off Marco Estrada breaks up the no-hit bid. 5-1 Blue Jays as they now play the top of the 9th in Boston. The last guy to no-hit the Red Sox is in the Cubs dugout. Chris Bosio pitching for the Mariners in 1993. And the last time the Red Sox were no-hit at Fenway, you got to go back to the late 50s. Detroit's Jim Bunning, according to Pete Abraham, covers the Red Sox.
That would be a pretty tall order to shut down that Red Sox club these days. Got a lot of firepower.
2-1. Ground ball to third. Scooped by Lamb to get the out. Hey, follow In-Game Live on CSNChicago.com. It's presented by State Farm.
Lamb has been a busy man today. Sixth chance he's handled. All 3 times that Fowler's been up there, he's grounded to third base.
Here's a pitch to Zobrist off the end of the bat foul. If Arrieta is done, it is a crazy looking line. 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts. He struck out more than half the batters he faced. The Diamondbacks put 10 balls in play and had 9 hits. That's crazy. Bounce to another one, Jake Lamb. So we will go to the 6th. We'll see who will take the mound. It's 3-1 Arizona. Insider all season long at CSNChicago.com. It's presented by Nationwide's Jeff Vukovich, serving the community for 38 years. Go to JeffVuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
Well, here comes Trevor Cahill, the veteran right-hander, pitching for the 21st time. Pitched to a 2.63 ERA so far. League hits 2.07 against him. 6-7-8 due here for the Diamondbacks in the top half of the 6th.
So Arrieta hoping for a no decision and that his team comes back and wins.
It's a weird day for Arrieta. And I'm just looking at his numbers here. Batting average on balls in play coming into the start, 213. League average is usually in the high 290s or 290s, 300. A really good pitcher can suppress that number. His batting average on balls in play last year was 246, but 213 so low. It seems like he was probably due for a little bad luck, basically.
13th Diamondback to strike out.
Cub fans, the 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot is here. Head to Cubs.com to choose your All-Star Game worthy stars and send them to the MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard on July 12th in San Diego. Vote today, vote tomorrow, vote at Cubs.com.
So a game Joe Madden would remember. In 2013, Alex Cobb went 4 2/3 against the Padres May 10th of that year and struck out 13. His pitch count was at 117. I bet you Joe will reference that game after today's contest. So a similar line. 12 of the 14 outs he had recorded were strikeouts. Zach Greinke in 2012 had a 13 strikeout 5-inning performance. But it's rare to do what Arrieta did today. One, two. That is a fair ball. Pounced down by Montero, and he gets Tomas.
Well, here's the other thing about it. So 5 innings pitched, so 15 outs recorded while he was in the game.
Yep.
And 2 were on the bases. A caught stealing, and then the rundown play. So only 1 essentially conventional non-strikeout out recorded.
And that was a ground ball to short off the bat of Goldschmidt. Michael Bourne started the game. He struck out, but it took 10 pitches to get him, and that did set the tone. So I think Jake fell 1 strikeout shy of a major league record, 5-inning or less start. And I mentioned the 13 strikeouts on at least 2 other occasions.
When the Rays passed through here a couple of years ago, they had a real high, at least 1 real high strikeout game. I think they had a big strikeout series here at Wrigley. Cahill looks crisp today. That one recorded at 95 miles per hour.
Drury fouls. Still 2-2. All right, you're talking August of 14, right?
Sounds familiar.
Well, they had a 15 strikeout game, but that was 3 guys combined. That might be the one you're thinking of.
Who started that one? Odorizzi?
Jake Odorizzi. Yeah. He struck out 9 in 6. Ball 4.
Good at bat work there by Drury. He takes the walk. That gets Corbin to the plate.
So Arrieta has not suffered a loss since July 25th of last year, when Cole Hamels no-hit the Cubs here at Wrigley Field. And right now he is on the hook. He will not get his 21st consecutive victorious decision, but he's hoping again for a no decision. Chris Sale and Steven Strasburg sitting on 9 wins. Neither able to grab a 10th win yesterday, and Arrieta will stay on 9 as well. One and 2 on Corbin. Swing and a miss. And the inning is over. That's the 14th strikeout for Cubs pitching. 3-1 Arizona. We'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on East Buchanan Telephone in Winthrop, Iowa.
Hey folks, grab your cowboy hats and boots for John and Farrell Lester's Never Quit Goes Country fundraiser at Joe's Bar on Weed Street. It will take place on July 6th, beginning at 6 p.m. We'll join John and Farrell, Cub players and coaches, for a night of country music, interactive carnival games, food, and much more country fun. Yeehaw! Tickets are on sale now at Cubs.com/neverquit. I added the yeehaw myself. I would add a little flavor, country flavor to that read.
It's a good ad lib.
Hey, Grandpa, what's for dinner?
Two-run ball game. 1-0 on Chris Bryant.
Hit it like Junior Sample. Corbin, it's interesting to contrast the two starters today here too. The swing and miss stuff of Arrieta. Corbin doing a real nice job working the bottom of the zone, moving the ball in and out, getting all those ground ball outs. I'm not sure what the record for assists in a ball game is for a third baseman, but Lamb's got to be in the neighborhood, especially if this pace continues.
He will not get this one. Chris Owings did make the play.
Infield hit already for Chris today. This time they're just able to nip him there.
Bryant lingering around the bag, but bench telling him he was out.
that's the nature of the game now. Wide run all the way back across the field. If there's a chance, you're going to be called safe.
Soler hits one hard, and that one's scooped by Lamb. That is the 8-5-3 ground out. That ball was hit really hard.
Scalded. So they get into this whole batting average on balls in play and the luck factor. Oakland getting a ton of outs on balls in play. Arrieta having no luck whatsoever in that department. It's a dream day for a sabermetician.
Strike on Baez. He's 0 for 2. The RBI hit for the Cubs belonging to Arrieta. Fly ball well hit to right. Back toward the wall. It's in the bleachers. A home run. And it's a one-run ball game.
Number 4 for Javi Baez. His power starting to show up. That's one way to keep the ball off the ground. Get inside, go the other way. And he goes the other way with authority.
The wind really has kicked up that direction, so that helped a little bit. Ford home run replay.
Had one here the other day. Having a nice homestand is Baez.
Number 4 on the year. Russell cuts and misses. Home run number 14 for the Cubs on this 10-game homestand.
From 8 or 9 different players.
Yes. Definitely spread it around. Lamb backhanding this time. 3 ground ball outs to the left side. The one ball hit the other way. Found a fan in the right field bleachers. It's now 3-2 Arizona after 6.
Welcome back. Experience the Budweiser bleachers under the left field video board and one of the newest amenities, the left field porch. Available in 50 to 100 blocks. Porch has lounge-style seating, unlimited beverages, 2-hour access prior to first pitch. Cubs.com/premier for information.
What do we have on Lamb now? Is that 9 assists?
I think so, yes.
He's a couple off the third base record of 11. A 9-inning game, that is. Cahill with a breaking ball strike on Bourne. He got him. Well, while Lamb is piling up assists, Diamondbacks bats are piling up strikeouts. 15 and counting. 12 by Arrieta, 3 for Cahill.
Gabe Morales, home plate umpire, he's getting into the flow. He hasn't had a crazy big zone here today, but most of the borderline pitches have gone the pitcher's way. I've seen a couple out of the zone called strikes.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Both members of the U.S. men's national soccer team conducting the stretch today. On Tuesday, they'll play Costa Rica, Soldier Field. 0-1 on Goldschmidt. Way outside. 2-1. Cubs haven't trailed a ton this year, but when they have, we've been quick to note the bullpen by and large has kept it close, which is always essential if you're going to make a late comeback. Curveball backed up a little bit. 3-1.
Big pitch coming here to a dangerous hitter. Yeah, Cahill's got a chance to get himself a tourniquet here today. Working quickly, purposeful in his approach.
Here's his 3-2, and it's hit foul and out of play.
Bottom of the 7th brings the bottom of the order for the Cubs. Remember, Rizzo and Hayward available to pinch hit. I only note that because that's normally not the case.
And he struck him out. Wait a minute. I thought Gabe Morales pointed at Goldschmidt. Oh, okay.
Wow, I
thought the home plate umpire pointed at Goldschmidt to say he swung at it, but I guess he was pointing at first on appeal, and Tripp Gibson said he held up.
Wow, he just ejected Joe. Joe walked out of the dugout, threw his arms up as if to say, what's going on here, and he immediately got ejected by Tripp Gibson.
Looked like Joe was saying it was a full swing. Now he's going to get his money's worth.
It's a bunch of codswallop is what this is.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be the best look, but it sure looked like he went around.
In real time,
Yes.
I think that's a swing. I mean, he keeps his hands out in front. And Joe having a conversation with Hunter Wendelstedt. He's the crew chief. Oh, don't forget about Goldschmidt over there at first base. A big slugger, but he can run.
So Joe telling Dave Martinez that he has to go out to make a pitching change because Joe has been ejected. So he will make a change, and it'll be Justin Grimm to face Jake Lamb. We'll be back in the 7th. Justin Grimm to face left-handed hitting Jake Lamb.
Yeah, and you see Grimm really tough on left-handed hitters. You'll note there at the bottom of the graphic, lefties hitting just 125 against him at the point Joe Madden makes frequently. He really likes Grimm against lefties.
You see why.
Yeah.
And just a $125.
So here comes Lamb, who has punched out 3 times already today.
Goldschmidt at first, 2 outs. Ball 1.
Plus fastball, plus curveball for Grimm. Plus curveball if you're going to grade him out. He's just one of the better curveballs in the game.
One and one.
One of the reasons why he's so tough on lefties right there. Downside is it's such a nasty pitch. Sometimes it's down in the dirt. Allow Goldschmidt to move up 90 feet.
1 and 2.
Incumbent on Montero to make sure he knocks it down, as he does there.
Goldschmidt takes off. The pitch is low and away. He'll get a stolen base. So 2 and 2 on the hitter. Grimm to the plate. Ground ball deflected softly to Zobrist. He'll pick it up quickly and get the out at first. And that sets up the Mazda's 7th inning stretch.
Today's guest conductors for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, members of the U.S. Men's National Soccer Team.
All right, Cubby fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Let's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
Goes on the road with David Ross as the Cub catcher takes viewers for a behind-the-scenes look at his pregame preparation when the team is away from Chicago. Don't miss On the Road with David Ross Wednesday at 11:30 on CSN Chicago.
So it's still a 1-run game as Matt Caesar fouls in the bottom of the 7th.
Still Corbin, no action currently in the Diamondback bullpen. He's only thrown 78 pitches.
Changeup fouled into the upper deck. On the check swing by Goldschmidt that resulted in Joe Madden getting ejected. You know, it's not a reviewable situation because it's such a subjective call. If they ever tweak replay again and Caesar strikes out, how about this idea? You have 3 replay officials for every game or for every replay, and on a check swing, if you go to New York, you have 3 people vote. Did he swing or not? Right? And if whatever 2 out of 3 say, he did.
Sure.
Because everybody has a different interpretation, and I think that's a tough call sometimes.
Oh, it's just a gut
for an umpire to make.
Yeah, it's just.
Montero swings and misses. And this is where I let the umpires a bit off the hook in that you are just guessing.
Yeah,
you don't get 3 looks at it.
You just kind of react. Did it look like a swing?
I mean, I think Tripp Gibson got it wrong. And if you're going to get run, I guess that's the place to do it because that could have been a very significant call. On the ground to first, Goldschmidt behind the bag will take it himself.
I have more of an issue with the quick hook, the quick ejection, than I do the call. I mean, I disagree with the call as well, but it's understandable. I didn't think it was an egregiously bad call. I'm just surprised how quickly he thumbed Joe.
Yeah. Here is the aforementioned David Ross batting for Grimm. bring out Mike Butcher. And a quick scouting report.
So Joe telling you can't come out here and argue that. So yeah, technically you're not supposed to, but almost like an apologetic ejection.
Nick Ahmed, by the way, into the game at short for Owens. Are you saying Gibson had the Joe? This hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah, kind of like that. Joe, don't make me do this. You're gone.
Fastball misses wide. 1-1. One and two. David was just saying to Gabe Morales, I'm just asking, I didn't hear you in the dirt. It's an art form, isn't it? Players and managers talking to umpires. Sometimes the tone is taken in the wrong context. You just sometimes want to ask.
And sometimes an umpire just does not want to be asked.
Right.
So, you know, they'll view any question as just a second guess.
Foul tip, strike three. So Patrick Corbin has pitched well today, and he's got a 3-2 lead into the late innings.
Cubs trailing 3-2. This is your Coors Light game report. Travis Wood will be taking over, and we talked about in the pregame what a week he's had. 4 scoreless innings of relief on Monday. He came in yesterday in the 8th. bases loaded, 2 outs, came up with the big out there, and I had a chance to talk to him this morning, and he pointed out his good luck charm, the lucky penguin you see here in his locker, given to him by his 5-year-old son Xander right after spring training, and said, "Daddy, this will be good luck for you." Travis said, of course, heading to Philly, he puts it in the top of his bag. The penguin goes everywhere with him, and this is just one of the momentums. Of course, the way these guys, you know, fathers and their wives and kids, they leave them but try to take a part with them whenever they do hit the road, guys. And the lucky penguin has been good so far.
I love the penguin. Believe in the penguin. And
well, the Penguins are in the Stanley Cup final,
right.
too.
It's a good year for Penguins. Good year for Travis Wood.
Sharply hit and deflects off the glove of a diving Addison Russell. So Herman with a leadoff single.
Tenth hit of the ball game for the Diamondbacks. 9 have been singles. The 2 RBI double by Tomas in the second, the exception.
Ahmed with his first plate appearance. Owings went 2 for 3 with a stolen base and a run. Bunted. Wood didn't even look at second. Probably wouldn't have made a throw there anyway. A sacrifice for Ahmed. Comes Tomas.
That's the key there, a sacrifice situation. And then Herman is a good athlete. He's a catcher, but he runs well. You mentioned the triples he's had recently. He's made a start, at least one start in center field. So you don't need a great bunt to advance that guy. You don't have to be so fine in terms of your direction. You just got to get it out there on the grass away from the catcher, and likely you're going to be successful.
Ball at 90 for strike. Pirates trailing in the bottom of the 9th at home to the Angels 5-4. Houston Street working.
Split the first 2 games of that series.
Cardinals play later tonight, hosting the Giants. Peavy and Martinez as scheduled starters. 0-2. Red Sox came back. Ended up losing, but it was a 1-run game. It's Tyler Clippard, 5-4 Toronto, as Marco Estrada took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Count 17 strikeouts for Cubs pitching.
I'm going to run out of red ink here. White Sox lose again, 5-2. The Tigers got him. Justin Verlander with the win. He's now 5-5. Quintana with the loss falls to 5-6.
Drury will get an intentional walk. So that'll get Corbin out of the game as Ricky Weeks Jr. will pinch hit. The battle he had with Wood yesterday as he lined out to second with the bases loaded in the 8th in a 1-run game. For Estrada, that is the 3rd time he's taken a no-hitter into the 8th inning in the last year.
Weeks had a very good at bat against Travis yesterday, and ultimately lined out with the bases loaded.
Comes Chris Bosio before Weeks bats. Jose Fernandez struck out 14, tying a career high. Matt Harvey was good, but takes a tough 1-0 loss in Miami. Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Join the Cubs season ticket holder waiting list today to claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list. The Nationals beat the Reds, but it was 10-9 in Cincinnati, so they barely avoid a sweep. Daniel Murphy homered, so did Wilson Ramos. Murphy hitting .384 after 3 for 5. Here's Weeks yesterday against Travis Wood.
Worked the count full. Travis challenged with the fastball. Weeks put a very good swing on it. Zobrist there to make the play.
Foul pop. Bryant over and does not have a play. Well, we'll see the Nationals on this upcoming road trip. Daniel Murphy has been batting behind Bryce Harper in the order quite a while now. It was not the case when they were here. It was Ryan Zimmerman. And the Cubs ended up walking Harper a lot in that set.
Yeah, a nice adjustment there made by Dusty. At least give opposing managers something to consider with Murphy hitting behind Harper.
1-2.
Especially that Murphy has become a real slugging second baseman now too. He's not just a line drive hitter. He's hitting for power. Weeks, all those years in Milwaukee, has seen a lot of Travis Wood. Close to 30 at bats against him.
Cool teal shoes. Well, Ricky Weeks, Gene Segura. A couple of years where they double play tandem in Milwaukee. And now both teammates with the Diamondbacks, although Weeks become more of an outfielder and a pinch hitter. And Segura plays a lot of second base.
And a hard time getting together here.
It's over in Philadelphia. Phillies 8, Brewers 1. Nola over Peralta. So Phillies, who had that really bad stretch, now within a game of 500. We will see them tomorrow night. Two-two. Popped up. Bryant drifting into foul territory, and that's it. Inning over. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Cubs trail by just 1. It's 3-2. Okay, Cap, thank you. Let's check out our upcoming Cubs schedule, brought to you by Travel Wisconsin. Plan your fun today at travelwisconsin.com. 3 in Philly, off day Thursday, 3 in Atlanta. Cubs final games at Turner Field. And then 3 in Washington. 10-day, 9-game trip. Here's Tyler Clippard. He's a former National.
Two-time All-Star. Whoa! Down goes Clippard. Re-rack, please.
That's swinging and missing at your first tee shot and taking your mulligan. Okay.
Caught a cleat there on his plant foot. The Diamondbacks have a unique back of the bullpen combination with Clippard and Ziegler. Clippard, typically 8th, 9th, you're going to find guys throwing 96, 97 miles an hour. That is not the case with these guys. Now, Clippard gets plenty of strikeouts. He's a swing and miss pitcher, but he does it with an elevated fastball at about 91, 92. A dandy of a changeup and a curveball.
Seems a little out of sorts. Why wouldn't you be after starting in that fashion? In the air, left field, Tomas one-hands it.
A bit of a quick pitch there. Hastened his delivery. But, so he's got that going on. And then Ziegler, the sinker baller from down under, goes about 83 miles an hour. So not the power arms you see typically at the back of a bullpen.
Zobrist 0 for 3, batting lefty, like Fowler for the first time. Corbin was really good. Didn't walk anybody. 7 innings, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits, struck out 5.
Yeah, had the Cubs hitting the ball on the ground all afternoon, mostly to his third baseman Lamb. Clippard, much more of a fly ball type pitcher.
Two and 1. 41-596. Packed into Wrigley Field. Cubs trying to send them home happy. Swing and a miss. Quick pitched him and went with a change. 2-2.
That can be doubly tough. You jump out of hitters quickly, so you get the guy a little jumpy, and then you throw that changeup. This is a new wrinkle for Clippard, at least for me. I haven't seen him do this before.
Getting a lot of tweets on that first no pitch, wondering why it wasn't a balk. There have to be runners on base. You cannot balk with nobody on base. So that's the simple answer. It's almost considered like a tennis player, right? Bad toss.
Yep, exactly.
Start over. Three-2 changeup fouled.
What the hitters would refer to as a Bugs Bunny changeup. Never seems to get there. And Bugs Bunny had a great changeup.
I would agree. He held. Scott Barry made the call. So this is the value of Ben Zobrist. He does not have a hit in the series, but that is his 5th walk. So even when he's quote slumping, he's still getting on base. That will bring up Bryant. Wouldn't do it in this spot, obviously, but down the road, consider Hayward and Rizzo are both on your bench today. The closer is a right-hander, Brad Ziegler. With one lefty, that's Zach Curtis. This is Clippard's inning, a swing and a miss as Zobrist faked towards second. Nobody up in their bullpen, so this 8th inning belongs to Clippard.
And Clippard's a reverse split guy. Numbers for right-handed hitters against him a lot better than left-handed hitters.
So if Clippard did the whole catches spike and stumble and fall down here, that would be a ball.
Absolutely.
It would make all the highlight shows if he did it twice.
Be on the George Michael Sports Machine. What's going on with Tyler Clippard? Let's go to the video.
That is as high a strike as you'll get called.
Rizzo's in the dugout with a helmet on. Jason Hayward is 5 out of 12 in his career against Clippard.
Foul tip, strike 3. It's out number 2. Here comes Soler.
Clippard outing, you're going to see a lot of work at the top of that grid.
Got a big chunk of the catcher, Herman.
Collarbone, maybe?
When in doubt, grab the rosin bag.
He's trying to stretch it out. It's a little tingly right now and numb.
He's coming out. No, he's going to stay in. Okay, so if you're the Cubs, you thinking maybe to run here?
I was looking at Clippard's numbers. This year he's been really good. Nobody's been stolen on him. 4 caught, 4 tries. Be tempted though, wouldn't you?
Unless he's trying to win an Oscar back there, but I don't think so. Shaking that right arm. Zobrist not going, and there's another one way up high.
One thing you do is you watch awfully closely as he throws that ball back to the pitcher to see if he gives anything away. Still rotating that arm.
Good news down on the farm. The AAA Iowa Cubs won again today. That's 9 in a row. Their first 9-game winning streak since 1991. Good take, 2-1. 2-2. Fastball high. Baez on deck. He homered in his last at bat. Zobrist runs with 2 outs. Off the end of the bat, grounded to Ahmed. The throw to first, inning over. Clippard gives up a walk with no runs. So we will go to the ninth. It's still 3-2 Diamondbacks. Philadelphia as the Cubs open up a 3-game set against the Phils. Join us for the first pitch at 6 on CSN Chicago. Yeah, the Phillies and the Mets. These are 2 teams Cub fans of a certain age will remember as being big Cub rivals in the old National League East. But you get 1 trip to each city during the regular season these days. Woods starting the 9th against Michael Bourne, and it's a strike. Oh, 2.
Bourne's been shaking his head a lot here today at the strike zone, and again, it's been borderline calls. You see that number 2 there, just right on the edge. Bourne against a left-handed pitcher. You see him oftentimes out on that front foot, try to slap the ball on the ground to the left side and use his speed. Shade him the other way in the outfield.
Cubs going to the bottom of the 9th. Up against the odds here. They're 1-13 when trailing going into the 9th. The 1 win was in Milwaukee. It was that extra innings game in which Travis Wood got out of a bases loaded, no outs jam in the 12th. May 18th. Swung on and missed for another strikeout. 18 strikeouts for the Cubs. Arrieta had 12, Cahill 4, Wood now with 2. Acting manager Dave Martinez will make a change. Adam Warren will come in to pitch, and we'll get a double switch, as well as Soler will come out. We'll sort it out when we return. Adam Warren will now work.
Appearance number 20 for Adam. 3-1, 2.75 the ERA. Third of an inning here on Friday. Clean. He hit allowed runs in his 3 previous outings.
Jason Hayward comes in to play right. Matt Caesar goes over to left. Soler is out. Batter is Gosselin. And he hits the first pitch on the ground to the shortstop, Russell.
Not been a lot of activity for the infielders or the outfielders in this game, for that matter. Tough to get into the flow if you're a position player out there with all the strikeouts.
It'll be Brad Ziegler, the closer, in the bottom of the ninth. He's a side armor. The Cubs have Baez, Russell, and Caesar due up. We get a good look at Ziegler. He slings it up there. 2 balls, no strikes. Trying to complete what would be 4 scoreless innings today for the bullpen. Starter Arrieta gave up 3 in his 5 innings. His win streak is in jeopardy. 20 straight victorious decisions for Arrieta coming in.
And he threw the ball as well today as he's thrown in any start this year. If you look at the box score tomorrow, you'll see the strikeouts, but you go, oh, he got hit hard too. He gave up 9 hits. A bunch of singles, 1 double. Was not a lot of hard contact against him.
Lamb had a tough day against Arrieta. He struck out swinging all 3 times. He grounded out against Grimm. And he bats here against Warren with 2 outs and a runner on. That's a strike. For Arrieta, his last 23 starts going into today, 20-0 with an 0.94. Dating back to August 1st of last year. It has been a remarkable streak, and the Cubs hoping to continue it. Two to Lamb, 1-2.
Well, nice work here by Warren. He starts in first pitch changeup, then a heater for strike 2, and then the elevated swing and miss fastball. Lamb didn't chase, but a good idea.
Here's a 2-2 in the air to right. Long run over Hayward. He's got it. Just came into the game. And we will go to the bottom of the 9th. It is a 1-swing ball game. And on Baez's last swing, he left the yard. 3-2. Hefty home run. It was Baez who made it a 1-run game in the 6th inning. He's not going to take the at-bat. It will be Tommy La Stella against Brad Ziegler. You don't think of him as one of the dominant closers, but he's 10 for 10 this year. Last year, JD, he went 30 for 32.
Yeah, he's side armor, submarine style, sinker, changeup. It's an interesting contrast. Clippard, who preceded him, one of the extreme fly ball pitchers in the game. This guy, an extreme ground ball pitcher, has not allowed a home run this year.
He has the longest active saves streak in baseball, a Diamondbacks record 38 in a row. It is tied for the 12th longest save streak all time. Right field and foul off the side wall. Missed it by a couple of feet.
Would have played nicely. Just about everything down from Ziegler. Sinker, real good changeup, slide ball.
He's 36 years old. Most guys who are closers at 36 were closers their whole career. That is not the case with Ziegler. More than half his career saves have been these last 2 years. Fly ball out into left center. And Bourne collides briefly with Tomas, but he makes a catch and one away. Comes Addison Russell. Mentioned Hayward and Rizzo not starting this game. Hayward came in to play right in the top of the inning. And Anthony Rizzo is now on deck for Caesar. Breaking ball strike to Russell.
Ziegler perfect in save opportunities. He has suffered a couple of losses along the way this year. He's given up a fair number of base runners. 25 hits, 10 walks, and 23 innings of work.
Handle this ground ball and 2 outs. His strikeout rate under 14%. He is not your prototypical 2016 closer. And he's trying to go 11 for 11. And a big hand for Anthony Rizzo off the bench. Here we go. Low for ball 1.
Anthony's certainly capable of getting that low ball airborne. Just going to force him up a little bit up above the knees. Against a guy like Ziegler, the hitter would tell you, I'm not looking in or out, I'm just looking down.
Montero is on deck. The man who used to catch Brad Ziegler. Doesn't look like he wants much to do with Anthony. He's trying to get him to go way out of the zone. Ball 4. Tying run on base.
Yeah, that was interesting for a guy who has not allowed a home run all year. Clearly wanted no part of Rizzo, willing to bring the winning run to home plate.
Ziegler started his career in record fashion. 39 consecutive scoreless innings to start his career. It was with Oakland. And the first pitch, strike on Montero.
Yeah, boy, that one was big. Well off the plate.
On the ground to first, this will do it. Goldschmidt to the bag, and Jake Arrieta suffers his first loss since late July of 2015. We sit here on June 5th, 2016. And as we mentioned, he had a bizarre line today. He was dominating striking out 12 guys in 5 innings, but the Diamondbacks got him for 9 hits and 3 runs.
Yeah, his stuff was as good as any start he's had this year. It was electric. He got all the swings and misses, and they just happened to put some hits together and turn it into 3 runs in 5 innings. They worked some really tough at-bats early, got the pitch count up, and ultimately got him out of the game. But by then the damage was done, and it didn't really affect the outcome from that point forward because the Cubs bullpen was spot on here today. Tip of the cap to Patrick Corbin, the starter for the Diamondbacks. He was the winner. His record goes to 3-5, and he pitched a heck of a ball game. Just so interesting to contrast Arrieta with Corbin. Arrieta with the power game and all the strikeouts. Corbin, it was one ground ball after another.
Toast to the game presented by Binny's Beverage Depot. Binny's Beverage Depot, the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs.
Corbin, the former All-Star, with 5 strikeouts today. Very effective moving the ball in and out. Diamondbacks salvage one here this weekend.
Cubs take 5 of 7 in the season series, so we'll hit the road. Cubs and Phillies tomorrow night right here on CSN at 6 o'clock Central Time. We have more to come. Stay with us. Blue Cross Blue Shield post-game live is next. Len Casper with your final score. Arizona 3 and the Cubs 2. For JD, for Kelly, our entire crew, make sure you stick around. Post-game live is next.